Hi, it's Thomas Grønnemark, the throwing coach. Today I'm going to tell you about my do's and don'ts throw-in model, where I show what's important to do when you have a throw-in, but also what's important to avoid. I've been coaching throw-ins for 20 years, and I've been a part of 14 titles in international football. The most famous, of course, Liverpool FC, where we won the Premier League, Champions League, and other titles, but also Ajax, Flamengo, Midtjylland, Philadelphia Union, Toulouse. A lot of teams who punch above their weight and been a part of a lot of promotions too. But let's go on with the do's and don'ts throw-in model. You can see here in the bottom that uh, if we go from the left to the right, that on the left side of the model, we have short time, but also low complexity. And this goes on to the right. In the green squares, that's what we want to do. We want to do in training so we can really build it out in the games too. And the red squares, we want to avoid that. But let's start with the first green square here, and that's fast free. I've covered the fast throw-ins in other videos, so I won't go really deep into that. But generally, I'll just say a really good thing to do when we have short time and low complexity is to throw the ball fast. So get the ball fast, no matter what player it is. On the way, scan, see if there's a free teammate, look at the opponent's defending patterns. And then also the nearest player also have to scan for possible free space or possible runs you can do. So the fast free is a really good option when the time and complexity is low. A bad thing you want to avoid is to throw fast into high pressure zone. I think there's been a misunderstanding many places where people are saying, oh, it's always good to throw fast. No, one of the worst things you can do on a football pitch is to throw fast when you have a throw in. If the opponent's defending patterns and standing in a way, so you're throwing the ball into a high pressure zone. So again, you can really learn your players to do that in training, because if you're not doing it in training, you can't expect the players to be able to do it in a match. So I have a lot of drills on the fast throw-ins there, decision making, space creation, and things like that. So now we go up to a little longer time after the ball is out, but also a little bit higher complexity. So here we have single throw-in tools, and here your team can decide to use different throw-in tools. It could be return pass good distance, it could be big boxes, then we have side passes so we can break the opponent's lines. It could also be mini switches. It could also be switches of play. It could be shuffles. It could be um, blocks slash screens. It could also be pick and rolls a little bit from basketball. So you can do a lot of things where you, with a single movement, a single tool, can keep possession, create a chance, or score a goal after a throw-in situation. But the negative part here, when we have longer time and a little bit more complexity, is that the players are coming too close to the throw when time goes a little bit here. And I see that so often. So many teams around the world, also some of the best teams around the world, are making the pitch small themselves by coming too close to the thrower. It's a little bit, that, let's say you're playing a rondo in the warm-up in training. If you're playing 4 against 2 in a small area, the pressure can be quite hard. But if you're playing a 4 against 2 on a, let's say, 20 times 20 meter pitch, then it's really easy to play 4 against 2. So it's a little bit the same, that I see too many teams coming too close to the thrower. So that's not so good. Then we have in the furthest right side of my do's and don'ts throw in model, we have two things. And it's really important for me to say that there are none of those two things that are better than the other. It's more about seeing on your team, what kind of team do I have, what players, what abilities do they have. Also, what do I choose as a coach? A lot of things like that, formations, playing style, of course. But let's start first with the one here, sequences. What does that mean? Yes, I talked about a single throw in tool, and you can do that either immediately or after a few seconds, try to set that up. Sequences, that could be a sequence of 2, 3, 4 solutions. So let's say your first solution doesn't work, then it will probably open up for another solution if the first solution had like runs or a run included. And if that doesn't work, then you can open up for a new solution and maybe a new solution. I've been using a lot of basketball in my throw-in coaching and drills. And one of the things I've learned, for example, from Boston Celtic, where I had a visit last year, is that they're using sequences of around 4. So try to do something. Doesn't work, it open up for a new thing, and then of course, because of the shot clock you have in basketball, you have to sometimes shoot before the 24 seconds go. And even it's not exactly the same in football with the throw-in. You can easily have 12, 15, 20 seconds of space creation time if you have been getting that ball fast. So again, you can set up your sequences. You can just start with only 2, but you can also build maybe 3 or 4. But it's just important that you are actually doing some movements with the right length of runs and angles and so, because if you're just standing still, you're not opening up for additional sequences there, but it can be a good thing for your team. Then the negative part here is that I see some teams, when the time goes, but also the complexity goes, is that it's getting more and more obvious. So let's say your team has a throw in the middle of the pitch, and then there are, let's say, 2, 3 players from each team who are down the line. Then they're getting closer and closer together. Even more players go down in that area. The fullback is turning his or her body towards that big group of player, and then it's just getting more and more obvious where will the ball come. And even though you can be lucky sometimes to get something good out of a throw in down the line, there's much bigger risk that the opponents will get the ball from you. So again, of course, this can happen for all teams, but you want as a coach that your teams are having more and more obvious solutions, because the more obvious it is, the easier it is to read, the easier it is to defend. So we want to avoid that. Then the other part of the longer time, the higher complexity, is unlimited space creation. It's a little bit like I did with Liverpool FC. I was there 5 years, winning 7 titles. Again, the most known Premier League, Champions League. But we didn't say there, hey, Bobby Firmino run there, Henry run there, Sadio Mane run there, Salah run there, and then we threw the ball. No, I've learned the players to read the space, see the opponent's defending patterns, have many different tools, knowing what tools or solutions work best in different areas. Sometimes it's a safe solution, sometimes it's a low risk, high reward. And then we are also looking at the individual throwing superpowers, so the strength and weakness of each player. So in theory, we had 50 different solutions around the pitch, but they could be built out in thousands of solutions with different number of players, timings, angles, and things like that. Of course, it takes a little bit more training, but for me, it's also even more difficult to mark than single throw-in tools and even also sequences too. So, but again, if you want to go after unlimited space creation or sequences, it's totally up to you as a coach. Then the negative thing here is that sometimes it looks like, this team is really good at creating space because they're running. But I see some teams where the players are just running. They're not aware of where are the opponents, where are my teammates, what spaces could be good. So you think, wow, really great movement, but they're actually not really creating any high quality space. So of course, again, all these things you have to learn the players to do that. So I'm working from the very basics with team space creation, basic throw-in tools, and so then I'm building on top of that. That's like small-sided games. It can both be theme-specific, but also zone-specific. And then I'm working in the bigger zones too. And I think one of the biggest mistakes that coaches are doing is they're treating normal throw-ins like a corner kick or free kick. Yes, you can do that with a long throw-in, but now I'm talking about the fast and clever throwing. So the challenge here is that if you're starting with the complex, your players would highest likely not do it with a high uh, quality. So you have to start from the basics. It's quite easy. I have all the drills there to learn you that. But again, the way I learn teams to be better at throw-ins is for professional teams to have a 2-day inspirational visit. First of all, I had communication with um, people around the team. It could be head coach, manager, assistant coach, analysis people, or sporting director around the playing style, formation, things like that, what type of team it is. And yeah, after that, I receive the throw ins from one of the games or two of the games. I do an analysis so I can see the strengths and weaknesses. I put that into a talk when I come to the visit. That's normally like between 30 and 45 minutes. It can both be for the coaches and the players. Sometimes it's also only for the coaches. And then when I come to visit the club, I normally do 2 days of 30 to 60 minutes of tailor-made throwing coaching. Really put on to your team's playing style and formation. And some teams like long throw-ins. I do that successfully with many of my teams. And other teams don't like to use the long throw-in as a set-piece weapon. For example, let's say when I was in Ajax and Liverpool, we only used the fast and clever throw-ins. So you can, it's really tailor-made to your coaching there. If you're not a professional club, I also have a online throwing course, and already now coaches from 30 countries have bought my online course. It's a step-by-step course, and you can use that no matter if you're a youth coach or amateur coach. So I can really recommend you to um, to buy this online course. I have a lot of good feedback from Coach Chair from also 4 continents, all in all. But again, if you want to learn more about my throwing coaching, my philosophy, my visits, my online courses, you're welcome to go into throwingacademy.com. Have a fantastic day. See you. Bye bye.